Hi guys, my name's Calvin, and today I've got a set of Niemoller light salt webbing. This is a pretty interesting piece of gear. This particular example is a copy made by Backpacker, and it was used by Executive Outcomes. The history of it is kind of hard to figure out, don't take anything I say as gospel. A lot of it is just rumours and hearsay and stuff that I've managed to piece together over the years. But I think you'll find it interesting anyways. So this set of webbing the light salt webbing was originally designed by a Recce officer named Johan Niemoller. I believe he was a captain with 5 Recce, and he was tasked with building some gear for the South African Special Forces, or Reconnaissance Commandos as they were known, or Recce, which is the popular term. The South African Recces, they were up to some pretty crazy stuff, especially during the 80s and the 90s. They were doing things like deep penetration raids into Angola and Mozambique. As well as that, you had the small teams guys, and what they were doing was like 2 or 3 man reconnaissance or sabotage missions, and they would be patrolling on foot up into Angola. You have to remember, this is the time before, well, at least South Africa at that time didn't have reconnaissance aircraft like the SR-71 or satellites, which is the type of thing that we'd use nowadays. So back then they just had to get a guy on the ground with a pair of binos and a radio, and that's what they did. Some of those patrols, you're looking at like a month to get into position, and then like probably another month just to exfil. On top of that, they're also doing pseudo operations. So the pseudo guys were basically dressing up as SWAPO and infiltrating like terrorist groups. As such, they had a need for gear that was sterile, and not just sterile but unique to their mission, which was, as you can imagine, pretty unique. So Johan Niemoller either took it on himself or was tasked with it, and this is kind of the layout that he came with. It was designed probably in the early 80s and built either, I don't know if, there's a rumour that Johan set up 3 Spears in Cape Town. I find it hard to believe. 3 Spears was already in existence, I think, since the late 70s. But they probably either built it or worked with him on it, and if it wasn't 3 Spears, it would have been Klansmen up in Pietermaritzburg, who were already working with 1 Recce and working with them on various different types of gear. There's 3 basic types. There's the Type 1, which is this is an example of. The Type 2, which is very similar, but had it's easy to spot because I have a pistol holster on the right hand pouch. Instead of these 2 mag pouches, you'll have a pistol holster. Then you'll have an ammo pouch there, ammo pouch there. Then on the left hand side you had 3 ammo pouches, and I think it was a grenade pouch at the back. There's also more pouches on the harness. I'll put up a picture so you can see. And then the Pathfinders also at some point developed their own kit. Their kit is green and it's got the twist buckles on it, so that's how you can spot that one. Other companies and designs came out, but I don't know how many of them were actually used by the SADF or SANDF. I have seen pictures of Niemoller kit in the Cabbage Patch camo, but I don't know if that was like privately done or if that was issued or whatever. This particular example is a copy. It was done by Backpacker. Backpacker was a civilian company, and they used to do mostly backpacks and things for the civilian hiking market, tents and things like that. So their gear tends to be a bit cheap and cheerful. They did make a bunch of kit for the military. You will see like the Pathfinder chest rigs and a bunch of other stuff. Also the Battleur 90 kit. The key feature on this, or key identifying feature on this, is the ladder lock buckles here, and that's a clear giveaway that this was done by Backpacker. So a key feature of the Niemoller light salt webbing is you have to remember it was built for a specific use. So the guys that were using this were using quite large backpacks with external frames, and the webbing needed to work with that. So this is why we have quite a small utility pouch here at the back. And then on top of that, they would also been using the 2-litre South African water bottles, which is what goes in these pouches here. So after those two things, you're just not left with a lot of space on your waist. And generally speaking, on belt kit, you don't want to have pouches forward of the hips because it gets in the way when you're in the prone. And I imagine the small teams guys and OPs and things like that were spending a lot of time on their belt buckle. All right, let's go through the individual pouches. So first thing is these pouches here, the base of them, and they would have held 2-litre water bottles. The Recce's also had 1.25-litre water bottles, so there would have been loads of room in here to carry different types of items. You could easily fit a radio in there, or a ton of machine gun lead. They also would have worked like with other items, such as smaller USGI type water bottles and the cups canteen, which in South African terminology this would have been known as a fire bucket. The utility pouch at the back will hold a poncho. There's a little bit of space left over, but not a whole lot. This particular example has been waterproofed. All the kit's been waterproofed, but as you can see, the lining is coming out. And here we have the label for backpacker. So once you're limited by the water bottle pouches and the utility pouch at the back, there's not a lot of space left over to carry magazines and so on. And so that's how you end up with this quite unique layout of pouches on top of pouches. It's not actually as bulky as you might think. The pouches with mags in measure at about 12 centimeters. Definitely not a slimline kit, but at the same time, probably not as bulky as you'd think. And because the weight is around on the sides, it doesn't really get in the way. Pouches close with a number of different types of buckles. On the first type, they used the pinch fix lock clips. And then on the second time, because those were prone to breakage, they switched over to side release buckles. Backpacker, I think, have just gone with the easy option, and they've just used ladder locks. The ladder locks are a pain in the ass to do up, but actually to undo them, not too bad. If you pull the clip out, if you pull the buckle out to 90 degrees and just lift straight up, that will pull straight out. If I was using this for real, I probably would have cut that down a little bit just so it would pull out a bit quicker. But it's quite sturdy. These were designed for AK and R4 mags that easily take any 223 mag really. This is just a 10 round mag with a base plate. I think another option would be if you slack this off a bit, you could just reach past it and take a mag out that way. Again, just a couple of Magpul 10 round mags in the 30 round boxes. You know, once you took the mag out, I think it'd be quite secure in there. The pouches are pretty deep. They're reinforced at the bottom, so you've got two layers there to stop the AK mags chewing through, as they're quite aggressive, the metal on the nylon like that. Other things you could carry in here would be Israeli field dressing. Obviously they wouldn't have had those at the time, but it gives you an idea of the type of kit that would have fit in there. Another unique feature is on the front, they would have had frag pockets. And this one I have a laser rangefinder. And over here we can see an example of what it looked like with a grenade. And then on top of the pouches were these zippered utility pockets. They're quite small, but carry a decent amount of like small items, probably survival kit and things like that. In here I have a standard Etrex GPS, which again they wouldn't have had at that time, but it gives you an idea of what you could carry in there. On the front, on the right hand side, is a small pocket. I've got old style first field dressing in here, but I think this was probably a pouch for a compass, thinking about it. It's probably a decent size for a prismatic compass, and those guys, especially small teams guys, would have been using those quite a bit. You could also fit these types of field dressings in utility pockets. And then underneath the compass pouch is a small utility pocket. Honestly, I've got no idea what goes in these. They are on the original as well, so it's not something the backpacker made up. They followed that the design in that respect. All I can think is maybe malaria medicine or Puri tabs for water or something like that really. Maybe some batteries. Honestly, I don't know. If you do know, I'm keen to hear in the comments what you think went in there. And then there's another section that comes around to help you fasten the belt for the larger guys. And for the smaller guys, that would just tuck away behind. On the harness is another pocket. And in here I've got a tourniquet. Again, this would have been used long before modern medical kit, but again, it gives you an idea of what you can, the type of items you could fit in there. On the other side, we have another small utility pocket, and then on the harness above that is a space for a knife. This is the backpacker copy, so there should be a section there that you would fit the sheath through. That would stop it from falling out. But like I say, this is just a cheap copy. I've also seen guys carry handsets for radios up on here. So the harness is a H-frame type, and it's padded at the top, and then the padding runs down to about there, and then it's just material. It's quite comfy, I find. Especially for the time, you know, like you could carry quite a bit of weight in these things. The back of it is adjustable. We have a standard metal buckle, and then you just adjust for the height, and then velcro it over just to keep it steady. I honestly would have thought there'd be more adjustment in this. They did come in different sizes, so maybe that's a factor. This is a small size, I think. On some of them you will see like quite a bit of dead space on the side of their utility pouches that yeah, I mean they could have put stuff there but they didn't. Again, you've got to remember, you know, this was designed for a large external frame backpack to go over the top of it, but I think we can deduce that they did have different sizes of these, so maybe the larger sizes would have had more adjustment in the length. On the inside, these sections here are all nice and padded. So in a way, it's kind of like the original airborne webbing, if we think of it. You know, airborne webbing is very popular in the UK, and it's basically a padded belt section with pouches fixed to it. And these guys have been doing that since the 80s. Alright guys, that concludes the video. I think it's a really interesting idea. There's so many different ways to skin the cat, and this one here I think is pretty unique. It's tailor-made for a very specific mission or mission use, and it's quite an interesting way that they've come about doing with it. In the era of Monty gear and pals and all the faffing about with different pouches and moving pouches here and there, I kind of like that. It's set. It is what it is, you know. I think the guys, if they needed to carry more mags, would have worn chest rigs in conjunction with these, and would have plussed up that way if they needed to carry more ammo. But this would have been like a basic fighting load really. 4 mags, water, survival gear, and that was it. And Recce's were highly trained in survival techniques, so they probably could have made that work quite well. Overall weight is only 1 kilo, so it's quite lightweight, and this material here is just lightweight pack cloth. Alright guys, thanks for watching to the end of the video. I hope you found this interesting. Do us a favour and hit the old like and subscribe buttons, and help us out with the algorithm. Alright, cheers guys, have a good one.